Yeah.
We're going live. There's
Are we
nothing
live?
further you can do to stop me. I've
Are we
already
live?
pushed the button. We're basically 10 seconds in already.
Oh, are we really?
Yeah, I don't even know what to tell you. So, I mean, if you're not ready, then we're not ready. But, you know, it always seems like we're like getting through these things like by the seat of our pants almost every time.
Well, yeah.
But it's
You
like,
would think by now, after what, 7 years, we have
right.
this down.
Well, the thing is, we're constantly changing, like updating stuff and changing equipment and getting new computer, new mics, new cameras, and each time you try, like, what is it? What's it, Scott Adams? He's talking about how he keeps his shit simple. He's got 2 iPads where all he has to do is click a button, and he still misses stuff. He's got like 5 things he has to do to prepare for his show.
Thank
Just
God.
turn them on, position him, plug his mic in, and half the time he forgets to plug his mic into one. Good Lord. Anyway, so today we have a couple guests on for a new series we're working on called Focus Local. I've been working on a new design. You guys may have seen the design on the website and on the social medias. And I think it's a pretty cool concept, and it kind of goes.
Kind of happened by accident.
Well, yeah, when Anthony flubbed a phrase last week, what'd you say, local focus?
Local focus or something like that.
Something, yeah. And it was like, oh, that's a good idea, because I've already been starting to retrain my mind a little bit to focus more on local issues, local, endeavors, things that you can actually have some impact over versus watching CNN and going, oh my God, there's this catastrophe happening 10,000 miles away. What do we do? Well, nothing. That's just it. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
But most of us can do things on a local level. So I wanted to create a series where we talk to local folks doing local things and just highlight what it is that they're doing in their lives that's actually having a real impact in their world. So
I'm really washed out.
You are washed out.
Yeah.
I'm not doing nothing about it. Hey, what's up, Ryan? He says, I thought Pride Month was last month. Yes, Pride Month was last month. This year, I think, according to my Twitter poll, is going to be Gluttony Month. Anthony's like, I don't remember that. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so what do you say we...
No, I'm just thinking about what Ryan said. I mean, I know he celebrates it year-round, so it's good for him. I'm proud of him. He's coming out, and he's really given us a sense of who he really is, and we support him 100% behind his gayness. I mean, we need to see more of that from Ryan.
Is there a reason you sound like you're on a 1960s TV? Oh, Lord, I hope not. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Boy, is anybody else hearing similar?
Darker than me, which is a little unusual.
I know. Anyway, let's bring in our guest. What do you say?
Do we have to?
We don't have to. I mean,
okay.
we can just tell them to fuck all and go on about their business.
No, that would be the rude thing to do.
They may not find that as much trouble as we had.
I know, right?
Alrighty. Sounds very muffled. I'm not really sure. We'll have to address that later on. So let's bring.
Well, I mean, this is coming from Ryan Milford, who's gay. I mean, if you got a cock in your mouth, it's going to sound muffled.
Yeah, it pushes on your parts of your ears.
It's not going to work.
That's true. Let's bring it.
Ryan Milford will not be back to the show, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Guest numero uno is Mr. Chase Matheson. He's been a frequent guest on our show quite a few times. He's the owner of patriotpunk.org, and I think you've renamed it now, or working on a transition, so you'll be correcting me on that, I know. So, but anyway, let me introduce you to the show. Hey, welcome, Chase.
Hey, Daniel. Hey, Anthony. Thanks for having me. And it is
Good to have you back.
It's patriotpunknetwork.com.
Patriotpunknetwork.com.
Yes. Yes. So.
Already. And then we'll bring in our other guest, Mr. Adam Williams. Welcome.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Hey.
So, Chase, good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man.
All right. Let me ask the audience here, is it we're muffled, everybody's muffled, or that guy isn't muffled like y'all are? All right. Well, it's probably something to do with my soundboard. I'll figure that out while other people are talking.
We've kind of transitioned over to your laptop.
Yeah, that's
versus the desktop. So there's some still bugs we got to work out.
That's been a transitionary bug. Last week you were like
transitioned.
Yeah. Well, last week you were really, really blown out. But yeah, no,
I'm out, huh?
Look. After seeing some photos that Chase sent me, I don't think I'll be transitioning anytime soon. Good Lord.
I actually sat down and watched that documentary, What is a Woman?
Mm-hmm.
that blew my mind. Like, I had no idea it was as bad as people are actually talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Which is hilarious because we we kind of keep up with this stuff a lot, and
it's heavily embedded in our schools and especially in our universities with these college professors that really push this crap.
Yeah.
And then it kind of segues over into pediatricians and and therapists, and I'm like, I did not realize it was this big of a deal. I guess because it doesn't directly affect me, I don't give it that much attention. But after watching that documentary, it's like I kind of need to pay attention to what's going on.
All right, so I turned. Yeah, we're the only ones that are muffled. I turned down my. I turned down some. I moved my knobs. I hate doing this shit live. I'm sorry.
Yeah, silly redhead. She said, "I'm afraid my mind is muffled."
Yeah, this makes for great television, guys. I'm telling you what. Hey, let's watch another YouTuber struggle with technical issues.
Let's watch the muffled guys.
Anyway, so here's the thing. I wanted to bring you guys on specifically because I happen to know that both of you are heavily involved in a lot of local issues. Specifically, I wanted to give. I keep reading your name, Sam Adams, down at the bottom. That's what you go by online. Your name's Adam Williams, but we'll call you Sam Adams. Adam Williams. I don't give a shit.
Get thirsty.
I wanted to give you a chance to kind of give us a little brief overview of what has been going on in your local community that folks may not know. And what have you been doing here lately that's been causing a few little stirs up in the public school system over in your area?
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me on.
Yeah.
I got involved when they forced mask our kids back in 2020. And I teamed up with Chase online and kind of just came up with some outside of the box ways to get some attention because we felt like we weren't being heard at all. Many parents felt the same way that we did. We were for parental choice. We were, if you wanted to mask your kid, that's fine. Just don't force it on my child. A slippery slope of many things. So we found that we were met with a lot of passive aggressive actions or ignored altogether. So we just came up with some ideas and actually put them up on giant posters, meme posters, and we took them to local school board meetings. And, like Chase likes to point out correctly that for every action, there is a reaction. And I add sometimes there's an overreaction. So we got quite a few overreactions here out of the local people in power that were quite revealing. And it cost some of them.
So let me ask you this. Have you always been involved within your own community, or was there a specific situation that kind of pushed you into that situation?
So I was diagnosed with ODD, oppositional defiance disorder, when I was like 2. Does that count?
Sure. Let's run with it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I've always kind of, had this sense that, there are certain things that people are afforded by our laws to be able to tell people what to do. And there's some things that you cannot. I mean, that's just simply the society, unfortunately, that we live in sometimes. So I, have always kind of had an issue with people that like to take that power and abuse it. I'm particularly gassed up tonight because I spent the last hour and a half talking with a county commissioner that's running again right before we got on. And, trying to just have a man-to-man conversation of like, look, you guys have been caught doing this thing, that thing, or the other. And really, it's kind of a character stress test that we've put a lot of people through here in Rutherford County. And unfortunately, many of them have failed.
So let me ask you, okay, with you being this involved, have you considered running for a particular office within your own community to actually make legitimate changes?
No, I personally, I don't think that's for me for a couple of reasons. Kind of like the same reason one might not want to go into the law field. Those people throw some pretty nasty things at each other in the theater of their courtroom, or perhaps the theater of Congress or the county commissioner, whatever it might be. And I don't play that game well. I am nowhere near unreasonable. And I think the county commissioner tonight, Mr. P, has a new understanding, of talking with somebody like me that's educated on what's going on, a conservative that's really kind of finding themselves fighting with other conservatives. That's the concerning thing about it, is that they're the maybe what you would describe as the neoconservative type. And talking to a gentleman in his 60s this evening was very revealing. I mean, he's still pro-mask and pro-vaccine 2 years later, and I said, look, we're not even going to talk about that, because it's not worth talking about at this point. People have been brainwashed to a certain thing, and they trust their media sources, regardless of how many times it's shown to be not trustworthy. So. Yeah.
Well, I kind of wonder.
You guys know that, though. That's nothing.
Yeah,
new.
yeah, no, we do, but I kind of wonder.
And I'm unelectable too.
Why's that?
It's just because of holding up meme posters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're probably better suited standing out on the corner with a meme poster, and yeah.
I think we've had a lot more effectiveness doing some of the things that we've done. Yes.
Tell them about your signs.
So we probably about a year ago, when I was getting pissed off and cutting the grass, when I do my best thinking, right? I thought about,
as most men usually do.
Yeah, that or the toilet, right? So,
Right.
How can I get back at these people that have not listened to me? This was before we went to the school board. This was in the spring preceding that. And I came up with this idea. At first, my raw idea was to have children's lettering on a sign.
Okay.
Just very, very basic, very raw, very cheap looking on purpose that said, voted to mask your child with an arrow pointing. So that when these people came up for re-elections, it was a simple and, what ended up being a viral way to hold somebody accountable for their vote. And what ended up happening is made a couple of elections, singular issue elections, So that's what I did. I talked with Chase and got with him. We bounced some different templates around, and I come up with a very simple red mask, or I guess the mask was in red. The rest of the lettering was in black, and it just said in all capitals, voted to mask your child with a red arrow. And you put it next to the candidate. I think personally, I've not even placed one of these signs, but we had one person that did place one next to a very big sign on a very big intersection here in Murfreesboro. And that picture has gone more viral than anything that I've ever done. That's for sure. All the way to, it's been talked about on the Dan Bongino's show, a lot of other influencers online and in media. So that felt pretty good, man. We took down the school board chairwoman that was had voted for masks 3 times. And then, she tried to kind of backpedal like they tend to do and say, well, no, I voted to open up schools safely. Like, don't piss on my back and tell me it's a warm summer rain and you get a sign. Here's your sign.
I think one of the things that I found interesting going through this whole thing with COVID pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, it exposed 2 types of people. The people who are willing to listen to the media regardless of how much lies, manipulation they're willing to to give to the public, and then you have the other set of people that realized how much corrupt our government and media is, to a point to where it really kind of brought an activist out in a lot of people who normally wouldn't go this route within their local communities, especially with their school boards. Now, with that being said, where are you at right now as far as now you're in Murfreesboro, correct? Or
yes.
What county are you in? You're in Murfreesboro. So have you actually had officials, like elected officials, removed from the school board, or kind of give us an idea of what's happened there?
I would venture to say that we had a pretty big hand in having the director of schools for Rutherford County Schools, Bill Spurlock, removed. I would speculate that heavily.
And sorry to interrupt, but when I saw that announcement, my first thought was, obviously, Adam had something to do with this, and Chase had something to do with this, and everything that has been going on around that whole situation. And even though I'm not involved, I came out and supported you a couple times, and I'm I'm aware of it. But even I was excited for you guys. I was like, oh my God, people are actually doing something, and it's having an actual impact. You can actually see things happening. Things are actually moving. Yeah. Where I can only imagine that only upped your I don't know if it's your ego or just your confidence in that, hey, we can actually do something. Or did you kind of already know that? I mean, I guess for me, I wouldn't know going in, but coming out of it, has it changed your perspective?
I have found they follow a certain pattern. I think, Chase, I want him to comment on this as well. But it seems like they ignore you, they don't take you seriously, and you almost have to set yourself on fire, as he likes to put it, to get any attention. And then these people, when they find out that you're holding the cards, which is another key thing if you're going to take on people like this, is that you have to be prepared to present the truth, because you will be framed with lies. I can attest to it. I was falsely arrested in the middle of all of this as a result. So if you're going to do what we talk about, make sure that you've got the receipts. But you set yourself on fire if nobody will listen to you. And those people that you've got the receipts on say, "Oh God, please don't burn me with your crazy fire. What can we do to put it out?"
And sorry. What about you, Chase? Is like from the beginning of this to the end of this, did you feel like there was like some level of like, oh my God, we actually did it? Is there what was your kind of thought process on it?
People are predictable. I was in door-to-door sales for basically my entire life until about 5 years ago, and there's a lot of different reactions someone can have, but everyone reacts, even if the reaction is ignoring it. So the way Adam and I met is, obviously you and I met when I lost my job or started organizing a rally before I lost my job. When that happened, I decided to use my knowledge of human nature as a salesman and my what I considered average Joe status to exploit it, and not for personal gain, but for what I feel is the betterment of the country. So Adam and I met probably 6 months in when he was targeted by a local official. I had the police sent around his house. I'm sure he'll tell you that story. But
this was who I was talking about tonight earlier. Yeah, it's all the same stuff. Yeah.
And Adam he's kind of like me. He's not politically correct. He's politically incorrect in a different way, but the average church-going conservative person doesn't necessarily want to be, sitting next to us at the basketball game. So
I don't know anything about that.
Well,
I'm a Christian, but I grew up on 3-6 Mafia. All right, put it that way.
All right, I got it. That's good.
So when he came to me, he had the receipts, all of the receipts, the audio recordings. He had these people dead to rights. And I have kind of developed into a journalist who will print, as long as it's the truth and I have evidence, I'll print it. I don't care if it's about Hillary Clinton. That just means I'm going to add another deadbolt. So when Adam came to me, we put our heads together and used the information he knew and some of his sources with my action reaction. That if you do this, there are only so many options. They either will react or they won't. If they do react, they may overreact. And eventually, it's just like a game of chess. And these people, some of them, especially on the lower end level, your local level politicians, are not very good. They don't even know the game they're playing. They're just in it for for status quo or for their own ego, as you put it. And when you can predict their next move, it allows you to expose them, just like we did with Bill Spurlock, just like there's several other issues in that school system that when the new board takes over in November, you will see a lot of changes because of the things that we've exposed.
So just let me try to put a finer point on this. It reminds me of, like, say I'm wanting to be an activist and I go on Twitter and I tweet at like Joe Biden or I tweet at Nancy Pelosi and I think that that's going to have an effect, right? But that's really me just going in trying to like automatically start the game on boss level and thinking I'm going to win, right? Whereas you guys are actually going in and trying to beat the low level mobs at the very beginning of the game and actually having some success because they're kind of weak. They don't know what they're doing. They barely, like you said, know what game they're in. You're just going in there and like you could just take them out like they're super easy.
Well, and I want to be very clear. my goal has never been to create a reaction. That is just a fact of actually doing activist things.
That's fair.
And so, I like when Adam brought the poster board, it was wonderful. He went, stood in the back of the room for an hour and a half until his arms were like shaking. And then afterward, we went to the car and left. And it was about the most peaceful, but most fiery, but mostly peaceful poster you'd ever seen.
Hey, was that the one?
I
was that
have
the one?
them. You want to see them?
Yeah,
wanna see
yeah.
'em?
I'd love to
got
see
'em.
them. Okay.
So the whole thing started. The first poster I brought in was this one.
Now,
Okay,
if I remember, oh, sorry, if I remember right, they actually started trying to pass some kind of rules to prevent you from doing that.
yeah.
Hilarious. Rather than address what was on the signs, they just like, let's fight the signs.
I sure did. So we had come into, just real quick, we came into some pretty damaging information about Bill Spurlock that, if in all honesty, should have been vetted properly in 2018 when he first got the job. And that's never set with me right. And now I have a child in the school system. So that's why that's who we targeted, specifically considering that he threatened to have us all arrested on another viral YouTube video when we went up there spring of 21 to talk to them about an alternative ruling done by a judge in another county, Williamson County, that said that the school boards didn't have the authority to mask children. So he basically called the police on us that day, which is another funny incident. And that's kind of where the cooking up the mask sign state of mind starts. I get wronged and, kind of getting this Jordan mindset of, okay, you want to wrong me personally? That's fine. I got something for you in the fourth quarter. And so I found his criminal records where he had assaulted his ex-wife, I believe is what it is. And we blew those up on giant poster boards.
Oh my God. If you
three
haven't
of
seen
them, actually. He has three of these. They're huge. I mean, there's
Hilarious.
3 by 5, it's got his name and everything, assault and everything like that.
What was the response to that one?
Well, so the thing is they couldn't do anything. They're in the middle of the meeting. They had no idea that we were coming in here with these things. To go with those posters, so there was a handful of us.
Hands down, man.
Absolutely. But this is what the criminal records were funny.
Right here. Oh my God.
But this is what's for the 80s kids.
Whoa.
All right.
Some Mike Tyson punch out.
Hold it up just a little bit. That moment when Spurlock's assault record makes all the sense in the world. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, that's the guy from Mike Tyson's Punch Out game, video game back in the day. It kind of looks just like Spurlock. That's
that
so
one, and so here's the one that again, fiery but mostly peaceful poster. This one hit the hardest.
Spurlock, his ex-wife.
Oh shit. That's great.
So we're talking about, simple things. We're talking about local memes, and what I don't want to get too far out and not.
But they do have more of an effect.
Well,
I don't want to forget
this is the effect. So
the Capitol.
besides trolling this guy, here's the effect. The effect is that he takes to Twitter and puts up tweets like this.
Words of wisdom. The lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. # do better.
Bill Spurlock. So do better. Okay. That one was
it's a
for golden platter hashtag for us.
Yeah. For those of you who are just listening, this was just a picture of a majestic looking lion that went along
From
with
the Lion
that.
King. Looks like.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what happened is that set well with nobody. Really, it was so ambiguous. We all know who he was talking about.
Right.
Me, him. We knew who it was about. But so many people have got their hands in the pot trying to take credit for this, that, and the other and really not doing anything. And they know who they are. They all think that, well, we've triggered Bill Spurlock enough to go and take to Twitter and piss everybody off. And I'm like, yeah, right. We put his criminal record on a giant fucking poster board. Don't tell me that's what he's mad about. And then so when we started to troll him, I think I created a Twitter handle called the Bald Bull and started poking at him with that. Well, he blocked me and some other people. Well, that's where he's opened up to a First Amendment violation. And with Chase's help and the help of an attorney that he knows, we took that to civil federal court in Nashville, and we sued him over a First Amendment rights violation for blocking people on Twitter. And so all of this combined with a background and a chatter of bullying amongst school board members and other parents, and now we've got this lawsuit that's been filed, and it's a death of 1,000 cuts is what it's adding up to be. He's bleeding out.
Right. So what the purpose of these particular series, I want to, I guess, give people the tools and give them some ideas, kind of spark some ideas for folks who are watching this, maybe from a local town or another state or what have you.
It's also to show that they can have some sort of impact.
Yeah, I want people to be able to watch this and be like, okay, so these guys did this and this and this, and actually, you make local specific memes, it can have an impact. You actually keep showing up at your local school boards, it can have an impact. You start talking to people and digging around a little bit. You start learning a little bit about the people in your school board. So Chase is holding up some signs for us. Hold up, put them back up there so I can read them for the podcast listening audience here. We got a
voted to raise your taxes.
So they've created these signs, voted to raise your taxes, and it has like an arrow pointing. So the idea is, and I don't know if you've seen these around, they will take these signs and post them next to these political signs. This one says Rhino, and it's got an arrow. So you would put that next to some presumably a Republican running for office,
Right.
showing that he's not actually a Republican, he's a Rhino. And so those are brilliant, by the way. I love the idea, and it's just small little like civil disobedience style things that you can do to really just like I said, have an actual impact that you can actually see your efforts making a change, right?
Right.
I want to find the one that went big viral for you guys too.
So on that note, there was recently a Supreme Court decision, I think 2015, called Reed versus Town of Gilbert. And without getting too in depth, basically cities can't discriminate the difference between a church sign, a political sign, and a temporary directional sign. It's content-based discrimination, even if the rules are viewpoint neutral. So if they allow candidates to put signs up during campaign season, then they can't stop you. They have to treat your sign equal, just like they have to treat a yard sign equal. And if they don't, if the codes department tries to, so obviously if you're standing like, Adam, show us that picture again.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Yeah, so you got the sign for the politician that's running, and then right next to it says voted to mask your child. So it's people running for the school board. Yeah,
They
like that little additional bit of information that voters might need to just really solidify as they're potentially voting for.
Well, so the beautiful thing is right before election season, that particular candidate went and took every single picture of themselves wearing a mask down. So, and it's because they don't want the truth out there when they've made bad decisions. Well, you might not be able to get 1,000 more people to vote for somebody, but you can educate them on things that could deter them. And they can't treat the signs any different. If they do, you know what that's going to do? Then you have the ability to sue them for a First Amendment violation, which is only going to get more attention on the fact you are out there holding a sign. So they don't want there to be a ruckus. The safest thing these people can do is take down their sign.
Right.
Because anything else, I mean, they can let you sit up there with it and own what they've done. But I've gone out and stood with a sign that alerted everyone in my town that a particular person voted for Biden. It's not hateful. It's just, it notifies the public. And when it's that simple, when 4 words voted to mask or 5 words voted to mask your child, or voted for Biden, 3 words can change how someone votes, it's your duty to do it, in my opinion.
I think what it is the correlation of the meme sign, and you kind of take a second, you actually process everything currently going on in the world at that moment. That's what it does. It forces you to actually stop and think just for a moment of how bad things are or how good things are. and you make a decision off of that split second to kind of reevaluate what's currently going on. In my opinion, that's kind of what it's been doing. I mean, for instance, those Biden stickers you see at the gas stations that say I did that. When you see that, that's the first thing you think about. They are very effective. I have placed them all over gas pumps myself.
Legally.
Well, I don't give a shit whether it's legal or not. I did it. Oh well.
Can you imagine going to jail for that? Like, sir, you're under arrest for what?
I would literally laugh at the judge and fist bump him if he actually gave me time in jail for that.
Hey,
mad respect
Anthony.
for doing your job.
Anthony. Nice to meet you here in jail. I don't know if you've joined any local gang. What you in for, bud?
Putting stickers on gas pumps. But
if that happened, my approach would be to take a picture of the judge pointing and take your mugshot and make that into a poster where he's saying, I did that.
Yeah,
yes,
there you go.
And when you make a meme about Joe Biden, unless it goes viral enough to make it to every gas pump in America, which you might be really, really creative, but you know how hard it is to go viral.
Yeah.
Well, if you create a meme about the local mayor or maybe the vice mayor, maybe you do an interview with the deputy vice mayor and you have some video of him lying, you might only get 200 views, but one of those views is that man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That guy always sees it.
It kind of going back to doing the meme posters and so forth. I mean, you're not out there being destructive. You're not stealing anything. I mean, you're not physically assaulting anyone. I mean, worst case scenario, you embarrass somebody. That's it. So
can I show you two more?
This is a lot more civil than what the far left obviously has been doing here lately. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is how you keep, if they give you something like what you're saying, he retaliates by taking to Twitter. He hand delivers us this ridiculous do better.
Mm-hmm.
So the next school board
Oh yeah.
Do better than Spurlock. Yeah.
It's
just like an
RCS. It's RCS can hashtag do better.
hashtag do better. And then this one, because we know he, like myself, is a big Vols fan. One of the famous moments in Tennessee Volunteers football history. It's about time. And I turned it into, it's about time for Spurlock to resign. Now, that would be shitty as hell if I was him sitting up there saying, this son of a bitch has made a meme poster out of the Vols. I love the Vols. How are you going to attack me with my own Vols, man? And my own hashtag? That dude, man, screw that dude. And that's kind of where I get my jimmies from. I know that. I know how that must feel for him. I can only imagine so.
Well, I tell you what, I've always appreciated what Chase has always done. I mean, I had more admiration and respect for both him and Daniel for storming the beaches of the Capitol on January 6th. I mean,
oh my God,
I think
it was crazy. There was guys dropping like flies, dust everywhere, little old ladies walking around, just lost.
Yeah, for those of you who have just joined us, the two of them were responsible for arbitrarily just walking into the Capitol and nothing ever happened.
Yeah, so
I did not go into the Capitol building. And I videoed myself the entire time. No, but hey,
it's a good thing you did.
I have had the FBI came to my house. They on the very first day that Joe Biden was in office, I caught them spying on me from an alley. I caught them following me. And
I feel like I've seen this movie somewhere.
I know.
Yeah. And
I'm still jealous.
But I'm not sure if maybe they would have tried to hem me up the same way, or if the agent that was looking into me was honest. I don't mean this to be rude to him, but I don't trust the FBI. So the only thing that saved me was the fact that I document everything because, as Adam said, what do you always have to have?
The receipts.
Yep. Documentation.
The receipts. Let me grab a comment from the comment section and let you guys address it here. So Becky says, teachers are dying for parents to help and step in to advocate for students. Some of the expectations of students are teachers and outrageous. I think I misread that somehow.
So
go ahead.
Well, that's how they control everybody. Is everyone's afraid of losing their job. That's how they controlled people with the pokey poke. Was they held their job over their head. Well, when you're a teacher, you have a very particular set of skills, and it's hard to leave teaching and then go into landscaping. Like it's so just like the medical profession and doctors, just like attorneys, when they control an industry, you go to school to work in that industry. So with teachers, they can't step up. They'll lose their job and be blacklisted, and no one will ever hire them again. Or they'll only be able to get a job working in a place that they don't want to work. And it's important when you find independent, whether it's news outlets, small nonprofit groups where you actually know, where their budget is not paying salaries and things, or large salaries. Those are the groups you get involved with, you volunteer with to make a difference. That way you can build back, because if you don't, all the money is just going to wind up in Washington, D.C.
Sounds like a Build Back Better plan to me.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm not really sure what direction to go with this.
No, I kind of want to know what did you guys, moving forward?
Yeah.
What is the direction in which you're wanting to take this? Or are you just kind of playing this, week by week, month by month, kind of basis?
I'll let Adam start with that, because I'm sure our goals are a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man. Sadly, I mean, I've made a great friend with Chase out of this whole thing, which is
he's a good guy.
The extra blessing.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Well, we've set up until late hours, bouncing ideas back and forth many a night, and they're not always great. Sometimes they're great, and it's like that meme. Maybe you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are going to love it. So we've come up with some good stuff, but man, at the end of the day, I lost my job and was falsely arrested in the midst of all of this over some retaliation from a principal and what we believe to be in conjunction with this school board director, Bill Spurlock.
Right.
I've been working hard to get that cleared up. That's happened now. And I've got to shift. It's funny he mentions it, shifting gears and getting into a new career, but that's where I'm at. So I have to kind of back things back and be more of the family man with an 8-year-old going into 3rd grade at a new school and a new board coming on, and hopefully really work more with these people, and as opposed to working against them all the time, and not have our wishes just basically glossed over. I'd like some normalcy back, so I'll always be there, and I think you guys know that, but yeah, I got to start paying the bills a little bit more. None of this is free. Every one of these poster boards costs money, and nobody pays us to do any of this. I do this stuff for my kid. My kid wins every time.
So knowing the risk that is involved with putting yourself out there and to be a quote unquote activist, looking back, obviously it's worth it in your eyes, because obviously you're, wanting to protect your child. So that's why I was asking, moving forward, I know that you have to get, some sort of income, but is there any other plans to continue this, or are you kind of wanting to step back and kind of lay low and kind of do your own thing?
I think for me personally, we're just kind of wait and see. The summertime, at least for local, especially school politics, tends to be kind of slow. And we've got, besides the elections, obviously, but there's not a lot as far as policy and things like that. I do intend to stay on them about some of the policy changes I was promised, even though they're leaving the school board. But August is coming up pretty quick. We've got early voting, so really a lot of that we've tried to help with some of the local candidates and share some of their content. Chase has created some interview content to get their names out there. We kind of used some of the things that we went through to shift into him having some deserved credibility with speaking with these people and getting their message out, or at least a different side of their message, or their name altogether.
Well, excellent. It sounds like you're ready to kind of, you've taken your battle wounds. You're ready to kick back for a minute and dress your wounds and let them heal and get your family.
I'd like to sit on top of the pile of spoils for a little bit. And we can't have a Pyrrhic victory here. I can't lose everything I've got, everybody that loves me, over doing the right thing. There are certain hills to die on, and we took some heavy losses. But man,
it's how the left does it all the time, and they have no source of income.
Well, yeah. So fall. I'm sure once things kind of gets settled back in, I'll be in and out of whatever he's up to. I have no doubt about that.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. Obviously, we know Roe versus Wade was overturned or pushed back to the state level. What do you think that's going to look like for our communities, especially being a predominantly Republican state?
Go into more detail on that.
You think we're going to see a shift as far as the laws are concerned? I mean, right now, Tennessee is considered a trigger state. Do you think that's going to change? Do you think they're going to add or subtract anything when it comes to abortions later on down the future with midterms coming up?
I think it's going to be I want to clarify this. I think that Biden screwed the pooch on that today when he did an executive order it doesn't really do anything because of the Dodd's decision.
Right.
He can't do that. That power is given to the states. But his executive order is more about privacy, but he's pitching it as we're going to protect it via executive order. So any enthusiasm that the intermediate people got, he just, like the real low headline vote reader, he just took a lot of wind out of that sail. You will see some of it, but they were already planning that. And depending on where you are, even in Tennessee, about 50% of the candidates with an R next to their name are 100% Democrats that started voting Republican in 2014-ish so that they could take over the non-existent Republican Party. A bunch of rhinos, per se. So I think it will be negligible, but in close races, depending on what hot mic moments are out there, and depending on it could affect individual races, but as a whole, I don't think it's gonna do that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think you'll see states change. It might go from 6 weeks to 12 weeks to at 24 weeks, you can put it in an incubator or something like they might try all these different ideas now that they've been given this power back. But
were you surprised to see it overturned or pushed back to the state?
I was surprised just because some of the decisions, like the arguments made in the original Roe case with privacy, were constitutionally based. It was the power of the actual abortion. So the devil's in the details on that. And the reasoning behind the Supreme Court is sound. Though I think you could take a different argument before state Supreme Courts and argue in certain cases as a privacy violation or as a due process violation or cruel and unusual punishment. But that's going to have to be argued at state levels now.
Yeah, I've kind of wondered what everybody's opinion is on that, and just kind of, wanting to see what the feedback and kind of the thought process moving forward, because obviously I never thought Roe versus Wade was ever going to be pushed back to the state in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So
a lot of talk about it, a lot of talk.
I mean, that's kind of give and take over the years. You often hear it kind of thrown out there every once in a while, but for it to come down the way that it did and seeing how people reacting to it, it's going to be an interesting midterm. I firmly believe this is probably going to be one that's watched by not so average person that was ever heavily involved in politics.
But hell, just your surprise at the fact that it like you didn't think you'd ever see it in your lifetime.
Right.
Your surprise alone speaks to how difficult it is to make changes on a grand level like that.
Yeah, and that's why we always talk about doing things at the local level.
Right. I mean, because most of us are not going to. Like, this is kind of a. I don't know. It was a very freak set of scenarios that had to play out for this to even be possible.
Right.
And
Trump kind of did his due diligence by putting the proper people in place at the Supreme Court level to make this happen. So let's understand that this was something Trump did.
Oh yeah,
intentionally
absolutely. But we're talking about a rare thing. I think that's gonna. I mean, the likelihood of something else happening, maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna knock it. I'm not gonna, I'll be surprised just like anybody else if anything else does change.
Right.
But the vast majority of us, we're never gonna have that. We're never going to be put in that position to be making those decisions, or be put in that position to even come near the decision makers necessarily.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I'm just in that.
Oh, I know.
Wondering of what it's going to be like at our level.
I'm just doing I'm just doing my hostly duties and trying to like tie it all in somehow. And
I mean, it's fine, but it kind of correlates to what we're discussing because this is going to have an impact on local communities and how things are ultimately affected as a whole, collectively within the state.
Yeah, I can imagine, because one of the biggest things is like you as an individual have a responsibility to behave a certain way, right? Like we talked about this as far as the abortion,
right?
Is all of the choices that lead up to it are also just completely ignored in the debate, right?
Right.
And I think pushing it back to the states and allowing the states to choose their individual, policies on the subject, you're going to see a lot of other people have to be forced to make better decisions. So it might actually have a positive impact on communities.
It depends. I mean, if the states neighboring you are willing to accept abortions at different terms, you're going to see a lot of an influx of people crossing the borders to have those abortions done.
Ain't that such a weird conversation, though?
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? I just can't even.
But I've never been opposed to people moving to a state that better suits their political ideologies and beliefs.
Yeah.
If you feel like you need to be out in California, good luck with that. Especially just trying to afford to live out there. But if you feel that strongly about it, I do encourage people to make a life decision. If you're making a life decision such as an abortion, why can't you make that next step and move somewhere where it better fits your your thought process?
Exactly.
White privilege.
Oh, yes.
They're white privilege talking.
Oh, the ability to move.
I'm mansplaining too. Don't forget that.
You're saying the ability to move is white privilege?
Right.
Jesus Christ. All right. So is there anything you guys would like to leave our audience with, maybe some advice or some words of wisdom or something that you've learned maybe as we part ways tonight?
I agree with Chase. I mean, people are predictable, so be prepared. I have an athletic background, I guess, so I like to treat things like it is a literal game. And, these people local that harmed our community during COVID especially are the first ones that I feel like should be held accountable. And this is the first opportunity that we've had. Yes. I compared it to earlier tonight when I was good and ranting to my wife. I said, if you're a football coach in the private sector, for a freaking game, let's be honest, a football game, and you think that it's a good idea to go for it on 4th and 36 down 21 to Alabama on the road, okay?
That was all gibberish to me.
I understand, but go ahead.
That's a poor decision for somebody to make, okay? Yeah. And they should be held accountable for it.
You should lose your job if you pull a playoff like that.
That's it, okay? So the thing is that these people... It's out there. You'd never do that. But then you'd think, well, we would never be put under a 6 p.m. curfew and made to wear masks in public here in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But that's what happened. And that's the play that they called, and it was the wrong play. And
should have called an audible.
They needed to, again, defer to liberty, I think, is always the safest thing to do. But when you've got a county mayor that's on record saying during his campaign that safety is more important than liberty, I believe is what he put essentially to a pastor of all people. And so I'm firmly against that. I'm of the Thomas Jefferson mindset, and Benjamin Franklin was the one who had the two quotes about that liberty. And so just be prepared, man. People are predictable, like he said. Just play it as a game, expect the play that's coming next, and be prepared to run your according offense and defense is the way I look at it.
And
the more reps you get in, the more you'll that's muscle memory and repetition and stuff, and it'll get real easy being an asshole to these people when they deserve it.
I tell you what, you're right, because I've seen a lot of cases here lately where it's predictable all the way up to the top of the administration with Biden. So, I mean, yeah.
Especially as we talk about this stuff, you're like, oh, man, we talked about this 6 months ago. Y'all are just now catching up? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I want to leave people with three things. One.
Hey, whoa. Don't get greedy. I said one.
No. It's 3 bullet points.
All right,
Okay, it's important.
I'll give you 3. That's fine.
Okay, all politics is local, 100% of it. Okay, the mayor of Murray County, Andy Ogles, is one of the favorites for the congressional district out of Nashville, which is it's going to be the most money spent on a single House seat in history. That's how important this seat is. And this guy is the mayor of some small town that when he first decided to run, we hadn't had the housing boom to Middle Tennessee yet. So things can change very quickly. And that interaction you have with a county alderman or with the chief of police, that person probably has more clout than you realize. Number 2 is always cover your own ass. Record conversations. If you interview, record the interview so that you don't get taken out of context. If you make a comment on a public official's thing, don't just screenshot it, screen record the post that it's on. And the reason I say that is assume they are going to try to call you a liar or a clickbait artist or assume that they are going to degrade your character. And the third thing is, on that note, never, ever be the one that is predictable. Do not react. If they do go after your character, do not respond 3 whiskey and tonics in. Okay? Stop it. Talk to pretend your friend or your roommate or your wife is that person and have the entire argument. Think it out. Especially with the internet and with the way everyone speaks in official comments and posts, you have time as long as you breathe to plan it out. And these people don't. These people, oh my goodness, react.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds a little bit like something you might have said a time or two, Anthony.
Oh yeah. Now I will say this, and we've always put this out there for people if they're willing to come on the show. It's one thing to hear Chase's and Adam's or Sam's situation, but if you're into politics or the school board and you want to rebuttal this or give your side of the story, we welcome that.
Yep, absolutely.
We're not gonna sit here and run you through the ringer, but we do have questions and we want to know what's going on moving forward and why teachers and school boards are doing what they're doing to our youth.
That means
and I think it's important to have that dialogue. If you want to defend yourself and defend your case of what you're doing, we have the platform to do it. And I encourage people to take that up, take us up on that offer. It's unbiased and I mean as it can be, but it's not going to be an easy show, so I don't know, just putting that out there.
Generally
I'll put a fourth
speaking,
bullet.
I was going to say, generally speaking, these people already have a platform. In Murfreesboro, it's the Daily News Journal or the Divisive Newsless Joke, as Adam calls
about it. Something off their platform. Come to a neutral place and have a discussion.
Yep.
Hey, man, if we keep putting in bullet points, we're going to get in trouble for having our magazine.
Just one last one. Tell the truth. If whatever you're doing is the truth, you're already going to be ahead of these people. I promise.
Yeah,
Adam,
because
Adam, I can't believe you just cut off my punchline. I was making a good one too. You cut me off in the middle of it was brilliant. I thought it was very well thought out.
Well, I have another bullet point.
It's our first time here. I'm sorry.
I'm just
I don't know how I got here.
Yeah. You clicked the link, my friend. You clicked the link.
Yeah. He's like, yeah.
Oh, he's clicking the link. He's clicking the link, guys. Oh, she's on the camera. There he is. I see him. That's what happened. That's how you got here.
Yeah. When does the Nigerian prince send me my money?
Yeah.
Oh, did you tell him that one?
Uh-uh.
Shoot, I told him about the extended warranty.
Oh.
Who told you about the Nigerian prince?
You told me there were free transformers. Okay.
Somebody lied. Oh, I said I'm
Is that the one
transitioning.
about-
I said I'm transitioning.
I've got
dope
that
for
picture,
later,
Daniel.
What, him transitioning?
Yeah. You want to see it?
Yeah, you better not post whatever the hell you sent me earlier.
I mean, it's not the first time he's dressed
I don't
up as
need
a
that on
woman
my
this
channel
show.
right now. We're live, dude. Do not show that.
No, I do want to see that.
I'm curious now.
I'll
No,
send
it will definitely
Not that
get
kind of
taken
curious.
down. It will
Yeah,
definitely get taken
Oh, I
down.
am that curious.
I'll send it to him later. Oh my God. Anyway, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I'm not going to explain it. So yeah.
Follow our channels.
Yeah. So where can people find you again?
PatriotPunkNetwork.com. Bottom of the page, all my socials are there. And on most social media platforms, if you just look up at Patriot Punk Network, you'll find me.
Cool.
And Mr. Adam, where can people find you?
Oh, I don't want people finding me anymore.
Hey,
They're
that's perfectly okay. Perfectly acceptable. And if
We
you guys
understand.
if you guys are seeing this clip on some other channel, you can find us at unframeofmind.com. All of our socials are at unframeofmind.
Thanks
And
for hopping
you
in.
can find us there. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on, guys. I appreciate it. And if anybody else would who wants to be on the show, who's involved in local politics or community efforts, or
we love to hear what you're doing.
You know, whether it's something like, hey, I took time to focus on my family and these were the results, or hey, I took time to focus on my local community and these are the things that we were able to accomplish. Those are the kind of stories we'd like to tell more of, and to highlight those kind of stories, because it inspires other people to actually be able to take action in arenas where they may actually have some locus of control.
Yeah, and they realize that they can actually make a legitimate difference.
Yep.
And that's what's important. Everybody should actually feel like they have some sense of community, and to make a fourth effort in doing so.
Excellent. So
awesome.
Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Man. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to wrap up the show and see you all folks later. All right. I see your shirt. I see his shirt.
Mike Jones.
All right. Anyway, so so that's kind of where we're heading with that. In these next few episodes,
I like this.
We have a number of folks already lined up for interviews coming up.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
not just here locally and here in Murfreesboro. And Nashville.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, we want to hear what's going on in your community, what you guys are having to fight with and struggle with, and you know, the kind of the ins and outs of, you know, what's going on in that part of the world, so to speak. Something that we've kind of emphasized quite often is we can't really do much in other parts of the world, but what we have control of is what we do here at home.
Absolutely.
So.
Holy crap. The amount of influence you can potentially have in your own local
community. And I know that
is
just in 20 years of living here.
Absolutely.
You know, so
that's what we want. We want actionable, something people can do, something people can watch these episodes and go, oh, that's a good idea. Making memes about my local school board members. I like that. And you can make them very specific.
And you don't have to lose your job or your livelihood.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's little things here and there that you can do. You can volunteer at a Boys and Girls Club, or you know, a soup kitchen, or just something where it does make some sort of difference.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't have to be politics or school boards or anything like that. Just find your niche. Once you find it, run with it, and you'll be surprised how much it does change your life.
All righty. So I will we'll talk to you guys next time. We're going to be having a live show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. I'm going to be speaking with Dia Beltran.
Yeah, I won't be a part of that, but definitely looking forward to it.
And we're having a discussion on spanking, whether it's abusive or not. So stay tuned for that and join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. I think that's 11 a.m. Saturday morning or Sunday morning.
Right.
Melbourne time.
Also,
oh my God, she's so far away.
Also, part one of Renee's interview is out now. Part two is coming out here shortly. And then we have another pre-record lined up with David Meese and another model that we've had the opportunity of getting to know. So,
I know we've been quiet. We have things coming. So stay tuned.
There's things coming down the pike.
All right. Y'all have a good night. You've been watching the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner.
Anthony Trawick.
Until next